This week on Scam School, it's safety first, plus common sense. That's 2 puns. It'll make sense. This episode of Scam School brought to you by Domain.com. Welcome to the show that you know has to be safe, because we're using condoms. On Scam School, the only show dedicated to social engineering at the bar and on the streets. Hello, you beautiful people, I'm Brushwood, and this week we are back with special guest Rich Ferguson, who proves to us that all is not what it seems. It's pretty generic. I could use that on pretty much any magic trick. Just let's run this intro forever. Gentlemen, please toast. There we go. All right, back again with Brian Curley and Jon Tilton and Rich Ferguson. And Rich Ferguson's going to give us a public service announcement?
How to have safe magic.
Exactly.
We're revisiting an old illusion. I've tweaked it a little bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a quarter, and I have something with me that's very unusual. Hope you like it. I have a condom cut out, and it's on top of a glass. What we're going to do is place a quarter on top, and what you're going to do is something that should be absolutely impossible. You're going to put your finger on top of the quarter, and you can clearly see it's on top of there, right? Watch this. Put your finger on top and push it through.
Last time I checked, condoms didn't have ragged edges.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
You don't look like it'll prevent anything.
That's right.
For the record, if this is how you're using a condom, you're doing it very, very wrong. I assume this is the bulk of a condom, just
This
sort of
is
cut
a
up,
condom
right?
cut out. We'll talk about that in a minute. But the condom shouldn't let anything penetrate through. That's kind of the idea, right?
We hope.
So we have a quarter on top. Push your finger on top and push it through. Push, 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 push.
We've heard this
Push.
before.
Push.
I don't believe it.
Push.
Oh! And that's how Brian got 3 girls.
Check it out.
Wow.
Airtight.
It can't be possible.
This is what it feels like to be on Scam School.
John just got to be completely amazed. That's
I want my
awesome.
quarterback. There's a microscopic hole.
Well, that's just it. Like, if you've ever seen a condom break, then you know they split like a balloon. They just totally burst.
I've seen so many Scam School things. I helped find so many Scam School things, and like this, I wish I found this. This is Scam School. I wish I found this. I felt like I was touching that quarter, like it wasn't. I don't know. This is amazing. I want to know how you did this.
All right, well, you know the rules. You gotta toast me. Oh, you're gonna love this. That's awesome.
Domains. What are domains? Domains are an ancient and mysterious art. The concept of credible domains is as old as history itself, but they're not just credible. Domains are also a fun, hilarious, and wacky way for you to entertain your boss, your internet friends. Yes, even basketballs with googly eyes attached to them are amazed by domains. But how can you buy a domain to entertain all these people? By using Domain.com and saving 15% off with promo code SCAMSCHOOL.
All right, now, if I'm not mistaken, Rich, this is an old idea, but you had some variations that I had never seen before. I thought this was really clever.
Yeah, there's an old classic effect. Every magician that starts out gets this little piece of rubber. It's basically a dental dam. It's a very heavy latex, and you stick a pointer on it, and it penetrates through into a glass.
Right.
But I realized you could do this with a condom as well, and it doesn't cost you $15 for that little gimmick. And you can do it anytime, anywhere. And it's also just kind of funny to do a trick with a condom. So this is just kind of reinventing it a little bit. And in my opinion, because the condom's so thin, the quarter really looks like it's on top.
Uh-oh. I think you just tipped something.
Well, that's what. No. Okay, this is what I thought the whole time. I was like, the quarter's not actually on top until you're like, well, press it on top, and I'm like, well, that can't be it because I'm definitely pressing the quarter.
Well, and if you look up
so
close, you
real.
can clearly see it on top as well,
And that's
right?
why after it happened, I wanted to go back in time and just be like, was that really? But it felt like my memory of putting that quarter down felt like I was touching the floor.
let's-
that quarter on top.
So let's start with the simple part. How do you get a square out of condom?
Does it matter if it's ribbed or does it matter
It's better if you're serious, non-lubricated, obviously, because you don't want to. This slippery condom's not going to work for this trick. So a non-lubricated,
condom.
generic condom, nothing special
So
about it.
all you have to do is what? Cut off the balloon tip at the end.
Cut off one end, cut off the other
All
end.
right, there
For
we go.
the UK watchers, this is a jolly.
Wow. That's how worldly of you. There we go. All right.
Ouch!
I'm enjoying this thoroughly.
Now,
Is this the weirdest
I guess
moment in scam
once
school?
once you start cutting it, it sort of
I don't want to know
wants
that.
to peel itself off.
I want to imagine it's an impenetrable barrier.
There we go.
There
so
we go.
not bad, right?
That's good enough.
Okay. Knowing the method in advance, you want it more narrow if you can, right? This is just a hairband.
You can actually hold it for someone to say push it through and it'll go through. It's pretty cool, right under their hand or through their lap or their
Right.
table. It's pretty neat. But I prefer to do it over this with a rubber band around it. So we'll talk about both methods.
Okay. At this point, I don't know the next part of the setup.
Well, so here's how you construct your little gimmick right here. Now what you're gonna do is set it up so it looks like there's a quarter on top. So we're gonna pull the quarter out, and this is the fun part. Who knew a condom can stretch and stretch and stretch and stretch and stretch until it's absolutely clear, and you push a quarter right up through and then relax and all of the rubber re-grips around.
Wow.
And you have essentially a quarter on top, and that's what it looks like on the back.
That's amazing.
It's pretty darn epic, right? So check this out. You could put it on top of a shot glass and rubber band it on, because then it's an airtight sealed thing, which is cool. You saw that.
I watched you
or
do it and it
you
looks
could do this. You could just bring this out already pre-set up and go, hey, you want to see something pretty cool? Check this out. I have a quarter balanced on here. Watch. Push your finger on top.
can't
Push it
even-
through.
I honestly-
push it through.
knowing-
push it through.
knowing-
Push it through. Bing.
That is magic.
And it just melts right through.
Wow.
That's pretty cool. And you don't want a quarter that's all ragged edged, because if it is, it'll actually break the
actually
condom.
pop
Yep. Because there's a lot of pressure on that sucker. So here's one more little detail I did when I started this off for you folks that was pretty sneaky. I put it on here, we rubber banded it on. So what I did is I started off with
Now this is the
this
part.
right here.
I had the
If it's
weird
tilted,
angle.
you're not really thinking. I'd put it about right here. You can't really see the quarter on top.
Because meanwhile, I'm looking at this right
Yeah.
now, and I'm like, no.
No. So I went like this. I picked up a quarter and I said, here, let me put a quarter on top of here. And I just did that. Oh, wow. I just went.
That's
what
why
sells it for you?
I had
That's
no
how you sell it,
suspicion.
right?
Yeah.
I had no suspicion that there's
and
anything wrong with
it jingles
the
around
quarter.
like it's on top of there.
Yep.
The only suspicion I had was when extreme magic happened in front of my eyes, and I was like, well, this isn't the reality I live in, so something is up.
Do it.
There we go. Oh, that was satisfying.
It is pretty satisfying.
How far in you got with pushing it before it really popped in?
That was just lucky. Usually it goes through pretty well. I must have really stretched it on and got it over tight.
Every second of that made it more believable.
Yeah, that's great.
'Cause it was like, it just took forever to go through.
Dude, this was so worth it just to see Jon completely amazed. I never get to see that. Well done, Rich. Woo!
Yeah.
Of course, we got to give a huge thanks to Rich Ferguson for slumming with us. Make sure to check out his epic prank channel at youtube.com/letter magic. Awesome stuff there. Second of all, if you want to suggest your favorite bar scam, write me directly at brian@schwood.com. Post a comment down below. I have an obsession. I have to respond to every single one of you. And yes, it really is me writing all of those. Except for the ones where it's not me, which is pretty much none of them. We should be best friends at twitter.com/Schwood. There is no C in Schwood. And make sure to join us next week as we begin our quest to break every law ever created. We start with the Code of Hammurabi. We gotta go to the library though. I don't know. What's in the Code of Hammurabi? Welcome to this show.
Fledgling. Your trick is much less impressive, Brian.
There you go, look at this. This is my amazing magic. All right.
I think we have a new Twitter avatar.
Extreme magic happened in front of my eyes, and I was like, well, this isn't the reality I live in.